Welcome, my name is Pia Larsen and today I'm going to show you a fun technique mixing up wafer thin dies with hot foil plates. I'm using the Spellbinders Glimmer hot foil system for this technique. I know there are other machines out there in the market, but I'm using the Spellbinders version. I have found my circle foil plates from My Favorite Things. These I've just gotten home and I couldn't wait to try and play with them. So it's the first time that I'm actually using them properly for a card. First up, I have chosen my Spellbinders gold foil and I am cutting a piece so that I just basically can have the circle on the foil piece. Now it's quite important that your foil piece is not a lot bigger than your plates because the less you risk overfoiling. Today I'm choosing to use craft cardstock. This cardstock is from Basil and I'm going to use the hinge technique, which is a technique that Yana's macula has shown loads and loads of times, but it really does work. So I'm placing my foil, the pretty side upwards, and placing my Favorite Things plate on top of it. Now I'm already centering my circle on the cardstock because I am more or less doing a one layer card. I have some gorgeous washi tape from Renge and I'm just taking the most of the stickiness off by putting it on my hand first. And then I can support or put it on the plate to make sure it stays in place so that I now can put it on my Glimmer hot foil system. It's already hot and ready to go, so all I have to do is place it here on the heating pad and just turn on the timer. I have my sandwich, and in my sandwich, when I'm using the My Favorite Things hot plates, they are, I think, a little bit thicker than Spellbinders plates, so I'm only using one of my own added shims, which is the backing of a standard paper pad. I am getting my Spellbinders Platinum 6 cutting machine ready so that I can run it through and just angling it so you can see a bit as well. It's difficult to have everything in the video picture for this. I'm running it through slowly, and by all the time I'm actually keeping my finger on the plates or the top of the and this is to avoid the shims to actually go bumpy because it actually does have sort of a kick at the end when you're done, and to make sure everything doesn't bump on the heating pad, I'm just keeping my finger on it. Now let's see how this one turned out. I know from experience that depending on the type of cardstock, depending on the colour of the foil, depending on the colour of the cardstock, you can get very different results. But look at this beauty. I got a really good impression with the foil. And that means that we are ready for step number 2. This time I'm going to use a standard wafer thin die. I just got my hands on this one as well. It's the Hero Arts Greenery Medallion. When I bought it, I absolutely had in mind using it for hot foil technique because I thought this pattern would look absolutely stunning on a card using the foil technique. Now, when you do foil technique with standard wafer thin dies, you of course do not get that thick line. You only get a really thin, delicate line, which is where the raised cutting area pushes out or reaches the cardstock. And I'm really, really curious about how this is going to turn out. Now, I can reuse the foil I used from the circle plate, which is absolutely a perfect scenario, so I don't waste any foil doing this project. Again, adding a bit of washi tape to keep it in place, and then it's ready to go on the heating pad here on the Spellbinders Glimmer hot foil system. My sandwich for this one, because it's a wafer thin die I'm using, I need to add an extra shim to my sandwich. And if I remember correctly, this is a 250 gram piece of cardstock I'm adding. I have been experimenting about which kind of sandwich is best for which kind of plate or die or cardstock, and I'm getting more and more acquainted and finding the perfect match. But it takes time. It takes time to go through all these, and I can only recommend write it all down, because you never know. You never know when your combination of cardstock and foil just don't give you the result you actually wanted. But keeping notes can be a good help. Now we are almost ready to see the result of the Hero Arts Greenery Medallion. And not to spoil it, but you already saw in the beginning, we are making a Christmas card today. Let's see, being careful to loosen up the washi tape. Now, just looking at this, it gives me a good feel. I think this is going to be a really good result. And this is a stunner. This is absolutely gorgeous. I have a little bit of overfoiling to one of the sides, but I can help it out by using a brush. It's not a soft brush, it's a hard brush. So it can sort of take the worst bit of and I just bumped my head into the camera. Sorry about that. It happens sometimes when you have a too big head. Well, what you just saw me do was actually take cloth and just rub it over the surface, because I don't know, I think it helps. If there are any loose glimmer foil particles, this actually helps it. Last bit we're doing with the hot foiling is that now we are using one of the Spellbinders sentiments, which is from Yana's Christmas sentiment collection. Gorgeous, gorgeous sentiments here. And again, I'm so fortunate that I can reuse the foil piece to do the last bit here. Now, because I'm going to use the hinge method again, I have to cut sort of a piece off in the top, because that's where I'm going to push it underneath the washi tape hinge. But you can see that in just a second. I know that in the sentiment, the last bit here is actually the line I can follow. So it is placed, how do you say, vertical? Horizontally. That was it. Horizontally on the cardstock. So I don't want it to be, how do you say, crooked. I kind of like it when it's nice and in angles. It just looks better, if you ask me. Now I can lift up the foil plate and scoop in the foil piece, and then gently lower down the hot plate. I'm making sure that I've got foil underneath every place, everywhere of the hot foil plate. I'm taking my small scissors and just cutting away some of the excess foil. One of the reasons I'm doing this is so that I get a place I can add the extra piece of washi tape to keep it in place. And I don't want to put washi tape, or I am trying to avoid to put washi tape on the places I have already foiled, because the washi tape, if it's too sticky, can actually rip off or take off some of the foil, and that would be such a pity. Now that I'm back to normal foil plates, I'm changing my sandwich again. I am removing the 150 gram piece and putting in a thinner piece, which is only 160. So you can see I'm using quite a lot of different sandwich combinations to do this project, but it's because I'm using 3 different kinds of plates and dies. Everyone has a different width oh, how do you say it? I can't say that word now. Sorry. Thick. They have different thickness in it. That was a better way to say it. So sorry for my English, but sometimes I can't really remember how to say the words. Let's see how the result turned out this time. Oh, this is always so exciting. Almost like Christmas morning. Well, for you it's Christmas morning. Here in Denmark it's Christmas evening that we get our presents. Let's see if I can gently lift up the plate and look underneath, and this looks really, really good. Basically, when you're doing a project like this and you're getting to the end and you risk getting a really crappy result, then you kind of risk ruining the whole thing. That's how the game is. But look at this gorgeousness. That is just so pretty. I decided to actually colour up the Greenery medallion using the foil lines as a guide, because I've got the pattern. I'm going to speed up this colouring process and cut it a bit, because it's a no-brainer doing this colouring. But I think it just gives the extra little something for the card, getting this colour. I could have left it without the colours. Then it would have been a more elegant Christmas card. But I do like the classic colours of Christmas, I really do. And I actually really like the result, or basically the effect it has, using these alcohol markers to colour in the pieces. I'm doing a very simple colouring, no shadowing at all. And now we are almost at the end. Now I'm not going to show you how I finished off the cards. I'll show pictures of that, but just look at this. I added a mat for the card front, and I added a few red half pearls in the end, and that was the card of today. Thank you.